So we got our answer on Sunday who the 49ers would be playing in the NFC Championship game, and it is none other than the Green Bay Packers. Personally, I was elated that we're playing the Packers. I am a hater of the Seahawks. I personally do not like them, anything about them, their coach especially, and I really didn't want to have to deal with Russell Wilson again. So, not saying that the Packers are going to be easy, but that's just my own personal opinion. I know a lot of 49er fans agree. Some would rather we play Seattle for, just so we can show our dominance, and flex on them. But personally, me, I just don't want to see them anymore. So I started thinking about this coming Sunday's game. And I know a lot of people are saying that, it's just going to be a repeat of what we did to them in November. And I just tend to disagree. The playoffs is a completely different animal than the regular season. And anybody who thinks that the Packers are just going to come in and roll over for us is sadly mistaken. Any team that's led by Aaron Rodgers and has Aaron Rodgers at quarterback is dangerous. As you saw at the end of the Seattle game and what he was able to do and the throws he was able to pull out of his backside just shows you how dangerous he is. And the Niners can't come into that game taking the Packers lightly. Even Coach Shanahan said that he pretty much brought to the attention of the team that teams who play the same team again in the playoffs after they played them in the regular season, he showed them proof that that doesn't always constitute to a victory, and that you got to take that game as a separate game and play them as hard as you did the first time, if not harder. So I started rattling around in my brain some things that are important for this game and things that we should be thinking about. And the first thing that comes into my mind is health. The 49ers' health is so important to this team. As you see on defense, when we're full strength, I think full strength on defense, I think we have the best defensive roster left in the Final Four, for sure. And maybe all together, with our defense healthy and our offense just as healthy, I think that our roster is the best roster left in the Final Four as well. Now, that doesn't always constitute into winning, but we don't have really an excuse at this point, if everybody stays healthy, to not win it all. We have enough pieces on both sides of the ball to get it done. It's just a matter of getting it done. Guys like Quan Alexander coming back, he's like the heartbeat of that defense. He didn't really make much of an impact playing-wise on last week, but just his presence alone, a lot of the players are talking about how it just changed the team and the mindset, and how he just brings this like fire and this just he's a heartbeat. He makes that team go, especially that defense, and everybody was really jacked to have him back. I was too, personally. If you think about it, who made a bigger impact on that game last week than Dee Ford? Dee Ford's presence. I know I've been really critical of Dee Ford, saying that maybe it was a bad trade and that the Niners gave up too much in order to sign him, and the fact that he's injury prone, and that he's. I didn't think he was going to make a go of it in the NFC Championship game. So I myself have been highly critical. I can own up to that. But he did make a go of it, and his impact was felt immediately. What he does to that defensive line, and what he does to how the offense sets, and how they can't be as tight on their sets as far as in pass blocking, and how it just makes room for everybody to get pressure. There was a play where he lined up with Bosa on the same side, and it's got to be a nightmare for a quarterback and an offensive line to have two of those guys on the same side coming at your quarterback. I personally, if I was a quarterback, I'd be shitting myself, because that's just amazing that one guy's impact changes the whole defensive line and really changes the whole defense. What it does for the secondary as well. And then you look at the secondary, and you look at the addition of Jaquiski Tartt coming back, and what he does for that secondary. He's like the quarterback back there. He gets guys in position. He's a solid tackler, and he's just a tone setter back there. And having him and Ward back there, and then you have, unfortunately, Akello Witherspoon was benched in this game, but it was for the better. I personally don't understand why they didn't start with Emmanuel Mosley, but it doesn't really matter because he came in after the first drive, after a pass interference and 2 big catches given up by Akello Witherspoon, and that was it for Akello. Emmanuel came in, and that was pretty much a wrap on the Vikings that game. They really couldn't do anything once he entered the game, and once the pass rush got going. Again, having Chkowski back there, just all the pieces were back together, and it's a different defense. It's just a different defense. They look like the midseason or early season form of themselves, where they just pretty much did what they want. And personally, I think the Niners excel against stationary quarterbacks. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I don't think Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are going to be easy. But if you had to put a gun to my head and ask me who I think had a better shot just based on the rosters and based on, the Niners having their full defensive back, and even if I wasn't a 49ers fan, I would say the 49ers all day. I think another thing we got to look at, too, in a big playoff game is something that can kind of neutralize and even the playing field is turnovers. Turnovers, to me, can sink a really, really good team season in the playoff game because it'll neutralize how much of a competitive advantage or like a roster advantage you have on a team. So the Niners got to do their best to not turn the ball over, and then they also have to do their best to create turnovers because, to me, the best way to avoid being upset by the Packers is just ball security and forcing turnovers. Those two things are like key. And I mean, you could even put in special teams in there too. Special teams, people don't realize in playoff games how important special teams is. Field position, all those kind of things. I mean, I looked at our kickoff guy last week, our punter, Wisnowski, and man, he was, I don't know what it is with him, but it's like his leg has died off or something. He wasn't getting any touchbacks. A lot of his kicks were coming short, and they were able to return it to like the 30, 35. They got to fix that. They got to get that, adjusted, and hopefully nothing physically is wrong with him. But those two things are like really key in a playoff game, and not a lot of people think about it. But like turnovers, field position with special teams are key. And if we could take advantage of that, it'll give us an even better chance. The other thing, too, really, is our commitment to the running game. I think the running game, for our offense especially, is everything. I feel like, one, it takes time off the clock, ball control, rest the defense. But two, the effectiveness of how good we run the ball. I mean, it's like, when our offense is clicking and when the running game is going, and it doesn't matter who's back there. It could be Tevin Coleman. It could be Raheem Mostert. It could be Matt Breida. Hell, even early in the season, Jeff Wilson Jr. Doesn't matter. When that is clicking and we're able to get, chunk after chunk, and then you mix in the trick plays that Kyle does, the passing game becomes so much more effective. And I think Jimmy is at his best in the play action game. It gets a lot of guys more space, especially Kittle. Kittle, to me, he didn't do much in this last game as far as the stats go, but it doesn't always show up on the stat line. But his run blocking and pass blocking he's the best tight end in the NFL, hands down. And sometimes it's the unseen things that can do the most for us during a game. Kittle is a prime example of that. And I feel like if we can get the running game going and, control clock, and then it just opens up everything else on offense. And defensively, stopping the run for us, I think, is key because then it lets our guys feast. And at full strength how effective and how dominant we can be feasting on quarterbacks, especially stationary quarterbacks. To me, that's everything. So stopping the run, allowing our pass rush to feast, and then on offense, running the ball continually. Hell, I don't care if they have another game where they run it 35 times, 40 times. To me, the victory is all that matters in the playoffs. It doesn't matter how you do it. It doesn't matter if it's pretty. It doesn't matter if it's ugly. To me, as long as you get into the dance and you're able to, give yourself a shot at winning the Super Bowl, I could care less how we do it. But just those points, I mean, turnovers, field position with special teams, the health of the team, everybody being healthy. The defense is a different defense when everybody's back. And hopefully we can keep everybody healthy this next game and we can dominate just like we did the Vikings. Again, I don't think it's going to be the same game. I think the Packers are going to come out and the Packers are going to be pissed because we embarrassed them on Monday night. So they're going to want to come in and they're going to want to exact some revenge. And we have to be able to counter. We have to be able to counter the blow that's coming our way because the Packers are going to probably come out swinging, and we have to be able to absorb whatever they do, even if they get up on us, whatever, and be able to counterpunch. And if we can do that, I think we'll be all right. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this game, and it's not really a surprise who it's going to be. I'm going to pick the 49ers to win 27-17. I think Garoppolo is going to have a good day. I think the defense is going to get at least 5 sacks and force a turnover. And I'm trying to think. I'm going to say Kittle is going to have a pretty good day, but I think Deebo Samuel is going to be the standout. I think Deebo is going to be the guy that's going to come out and show his worth as a rookie, as he's done all year. I mean, Deebo has just been outstanding. And I think Deebo's going to have a really big game. And the defense, I think, is going to be great. I think having Emmanuel Mosley out there just solidifies them to the top. And I think you have Mosley out there, you have a fresh pass rush, everybody back. I just don't see the Packers being able to compete for the whole game. I feel like the Packers will give us a test early on, but I think the Niners will find a way to overcome. And in the end, I see us going to Miami to play. I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and say Kansas City because I just don't think the Titans can keep up with them offensively, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. So that's going to do it for me. Those are my garbled thoughts. So just one thing after another. And hopefully when I make my next video, we'll be talking about going to Miami to play whoever the AFC represents. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I will talk to everybody later, and y'all have a great day. See ya.